Oh shit. Okay.
All right, well, everyone, welcome back to BRAP. Sorry you couldn't hear us. I forgot to unmute, but we're live. Hey, you know what? Like I said, I've said this in previous BRAPs. We need a producer because clearly BRAP is not excelling in his producing skills. But welcome to BRAP, everyone. This is E3, and it's 2021, and I got my good friend OBM, One Bad Mother, with us. OBM, you're gonna have to repeat what you said again because they couldn't hear us.
I'm not gonna repeat the whole thing. I just thanks for having me here on Gamers Christmas, man. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, big sorry everyone in the live chat, by the way. I believe you guys can hear us now. You should be able to hear us now, if I'm not mistaken. So please, everyone, I know this is kind of an impromptu show, but I am going to it looks like everyone can hear us. I'm going to drop the link in the live chat here. Please retweet on the Twitters as we talk about give you our Xbox E3 2021 conference impressions. It's going to be an honest look at the E3 2021 conference by myself and OBM. We may have some of the other BRAP guys be joining us possibly later on as well. But I want to quickly just discuss something interesting that happened to me real quick, OBM. And then I'm interested in kind of, then we'll dive into the press conference today. The Xbox Series X and S exclusive, console exclusive, Android exclusive.
I kind of missed. I kind of missed that voice. By the way, I feel like they should have done that just for nostalgia.
Yeah. They should have hit us with the they should have hit us with,
especially at Starfield, right? Do the exclusive.
Yeah,
you know what?
exclusive.
That would have.
Yeah, no PlayStation 5.
That's all that really means. You know how silly the word exclusive is right now. It's like every PlayStation owner, when Starfield comes out, can pick up their PlayStation controller, stream it off of a Series X APU, from their PC or from anything. If they don't already have a PC that's powerful enough, it's like there's really no such thing as an exclusive. But I guess it just sounds catchier than no PlayStation 5.
I tell you what they should have done, OBM, at the end of the show. They should have said, kitchen appliance exclusive, Xbox mini fridge.
It's gonna, it'd probably run on your fridge, right?
Hey, how about that mini fridge, man? That mini fridge was fire. I'm gonna buy one, man. I'm totally gonna get one.
I'll have to see how functional it is. It might be kind of neat to have.
Oh, dude, let me tell you that as long as it keeps my beer cold, that's all I need it for, man. And I'm good to go, man. I'm good to go, my friend.
You're gonna need something harder than the beer if you're watching the Square E3 show, though.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not watching. I didn't watch. You know, there's some conferences that I won't watch live. I'll just catch like the recap or like a highlight. You know, that's one of them. And the Ubisoft one's another one, which I won't talk about.
That was awful.
So apparently, our good buddy here, Ryan Landis, has decided to vote whether BRAP is an Xbot or a pony tonight. And I think depending on who you speak to on any given day, which means I'm doing my job correctly, by the way, because if you one day I'm a pony, one day I'm an Xbot, you know how it is, and then Anyhow, look, here's the deal. Am I Xbot or pony? No. I go where the video games are. I will play on PC. I will play on Oculus Quest 2. I will play on Nintendo Switch. I have the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Lite. I have the Xbox Series X. I have the PlayStation 5. I go where the games are. Right now I'm on the PlayStation 5 primarily for Returnal and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which is a fantastic looking game. A game I would consider kind of like the first, yes, I'm a Stadia fanboy as well. What I would consider as like the first really next gen game of this generation in terms of just utilizing a lot of the feature sets better than any other exclusive on the PlayStation 5 that I've played so far, which includes 3D audio, the haptic feedback, DualSense, controller, and then obviously visually speaking, this game looks phenomenal. So, but anyhow, I digress there, OBM, because I'm just ranting here at this point. But real quick, I had the opportunity to watch the show live with Mooch, it was me, Mooch, Crap Gamer, and Nova. I forget his call sign, if you will. But Mooch invited me on the show to watch the E3, and so after the show wrapped up, I was like, I had to go. I had to actually run off. I had to leave the show early because it was raining, storming actually, and I was discussing this with you earlier, OBM. Today was the opening day of the pool at the house, so the kids got to enjoy the pool for the first time of this season. And actually, it's the first time. It's actually a new pool, so it's the first time they've had to enjoy it. Period. But had to cover the pool. Anyhow, long story short, so I gave my quick impressions. Gave the game, not the game. Gave the conference an 8 out of 10, right? Because I thought it was a good conference. And then went back, watched some videos, kind of digested the conference a little more. Decided to change my score to a 7 out of 10. Now, before I get to the 7 out of 10 change, I do want to introduce my man, B Money 101, because B, I think you and I probably maybe have the same opinion of the conference, I think, based on your score in the BRAP DM. But what's going on, B?
Going on, fellas?
What's going on, man?
Hey, E3 is come and has been mid and not really surprised by it. So I'm good.
Yeah, B, are you? No, B. I'll get to your thoughts here and OBMs as well. But I gave it an 8 out of 10, and then changed it after thinking about it more to a 7 out of 10. I still think it was a good show, but I was kind of surprised by the responses I was getting on Twitter. When people were like, "You changed your score. Why did you change your score? Oh, you're doing it for clicks. You're a pony." That kind of stuff. It's like, come on, like, what are we doing here, people? Have you never not changed your mind about anything in your whole entire life? Probably not. But I guarantee you, if I changed it from an 8 to a 9 or an 8 to a 10, nobody would have said shit. But, so is the way of the Twitters. But look, 7 to 10, still, like my man Ryan Landis said, 7 to 10 still a great score. But no, look, I thought it was a good show. I think it's a 7 out of 10. And I'll, for me, just going back and kind of looking at the show again, the reason why I gave it a 7 out of 10, I just feel like in playing at Ratchet and Clank, and look, this comparison is probably always going to happen because obviously they're competitors to Sony and Nintendo, right? And from a first-party perspective, I think what Sony's doing on the PlayStation 5 is pretty incredible. And I'm playing Ratchet and Clank right now. And I'm playing Ratchet and Clank, and it's one of the best looking games I've ever played. It takes advantage of the feature sets of the PlayStation 5, the 3D audio, the DualSense haptic feedback controllers. It's just a great all around game. It has this wow factor to it that I didn't see today from Xbox. Now, it doesn't mean that Xbox won't get there at some point. I think there's a very good roadmap here. I think they have a lot of great content. I think things are really going to start kicking off for Microsoft 2022 and then really start cranking up even more 2023. But that being said, though, my expectation of the It Eats Monsters console is that it's going to have this wow factor to it with the game. And I just didn't see that today. And that's the only reason why I gave it a 7 out of 10. Halo didn't wow me per se. I thought there were some really cool announcements, like Hades going to Game Pass day one in August is huge. It's a huge get. I'm happy. If you are an Xbox fan, you need to play this game. It's a roguelike, but it's one of the best roguelikes. It's one of the best games of 2020?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2020.
2020, thank you, B. And I have it on PC. It is Supergiant Games, super talented. And for Microsoft to get that game in Game Pass is just huge, in my opinion. Huge. And we saw Plague's Tale 2 announced, which I thought was great. We also saw Starfield, finally. We know that Starfield's not going to be on PlayStation 5. Starfield looks great. I think it looks good. I'm intrigued. We saw Obsidian's sequel to The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds 2 I thought looked good. Forza Horizon 5 looked good. But again, like there just wasn't this wow moment. I don't know what it is, B or OBM, but there's just something there. You just didn't really. And again, a lot of this comes from me just playing Ratchet and Clank right now. There's like this magic missing. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. If what I'm saying makes sense.
So I think I know what's missing because I came away with an 8 out of 10, and actually I'm feeling a lot better about where Xbox sits this year after that show that I did going into it, because I didn't realize that I really thought it was going to be maybe Halo and Forza this year, and then we'd wait another year for Starfield possibly. And when you kind of like look at what they lined up, it looks a lot better in terms of like the content that's coming out between now and then, especially if you already got a Game Pass subscription, beyond that. So, I mean, without getting into all that, because I think maybe that will come back around to that. If you're looking for the one thing that's missing, I'll read, Reset Era and everything just for the other side, like what am I missing? Why am I not seeing, where some of the complaints are? And I really think that the thing that, and, even Cog says this, they kind of lack that just one, that action adventure
Yeah,
showpiece,
Cox,
right?
Cox like give me that Last of Us, as he says.
Yeah, and we know Cognito is definitely not a pony.
No, he's not. No, no, no.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Like he's very level headed, right? And he games on a lot on Xbox, and he said that's been missing, and I would have to start to say that from a high level, from a mainstream standpoint, that is the one thing they're missing, right? Just that third person action adventure, because a lot of times with those types of games, they kind of sell you on the characters, the animations. Like they can do a lot to sell you on the technical capabilities that sometimes not everybody's going to absorb that stuff in the first person. Like I was actually really wowed by the Battlefield thing, and I know that's third party, but to me that just blew me, like that was crazy. I thought the Stalker demo was crazy. I thought Forza. I expected Forza to look good. That looked better than I thought it was, and I think if when people go back and watch that in 4K and see some of the because there's some compression issues watching that thing live.
But 4K it looks yeah.
I mean, this stuff looks real. I mean, it's using photogrammetry. Yeah, and you're going to see a lot of that, the stuff that's used in Forza applied, in a lot of games over the course of the generation. But I guess for now, for me, I felt like I had those next gen moments, but then I kind of see where the disconnect is. For a lot of people, they connect better with those, those third person character driven games. Maybe that's the better way to say it. It's like, because you have a character, you build up a story that becomes kind of the face of the console, and and right now Xbox is, face of their console is the faceless character in the first person, and it's it's something, and with Halo again, as a Halo fan, I was hyped watching the multiplayer. To me, that was better than I was even thinking was going to be based on some of the tempered expectations that were coming into this. So I felt good about that. But I do think that until they get that third person game up there, that's probably going to be a thing that people are going to continue to go, well, it's just missing this thing, and I think maybe Hellblade could have hit that, but obviously it wasn't ready. So that's something that will have to come in time. But I feel really good about them hitting all those other genres, first person stuff, and just in general. Like this year, I'm looking at the roadmap, and I'm just looking at that's what is it, that shot they sent out with all the Game Pass games for this year and then coming up next, and it's a pretty impressive list when you actually get into it and say, if you have your subscription paid for through the next 18 months, you're going to get your money's worth for sure on the console. You can't say there's nothing to play. It's just like you're saying, I think it is missing that one particular type of game that I think people really kind of resonate with.
I don't even think it's just the one type of game though. I was kind of saying in the BRAP DM earlier, they just need one game that's up. Like when you see it, you're like, oh shit, like what, like oh my god, like, and they just don't have that game, regardless of what genre it is, because we've seen this with other publishers. When they come out of the back door with something, and it's a true surprise and it looks amazing, like people get hyped. You know what I mean? Like
that's a great point.
When I mentioned this in the BRAP DM, but like when Ubisoft was like really like in the Ubisoft bag, and they were every year they had that, oh, we just have one more thing, and First, they hit us with Rainbow Six, and like Rainbow Six looked fucking crazy.
Yes.
And then they hit us with the Division, and the
Mm.
Division looked crazy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like Xbox is just lacking that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when we first saw Titanfall, and it was on Microsoft stage, everybody was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like
Yes. Yes. Preach.
everybody was
preach,
like
preach.
super hyped. And it doesn't have to be like a third person action game. It just needs to be a game that's like knocks our socks off when we
Yeah.
first see it. And I think like for me, when Phil was like, "Oh, we have one more thing," and they showed Redfall and it was a CGI, like that was a huge disappointment.
That was my biggest disappointment, actually. We
'Cause
talked about it in our stream too. That was the thing that probably took it down the most for me. But yeah, keep going, man.
Yeah, I feel like when you had the way he was kind of leading up to it,
Yeah.
and I understand like it's a new IP, it's Arcane. Like I love Arcane. Every one of their games are dope to me.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're leading up to it and you say like, "Oh, we have one more thing," you would think that that one more thing would be like the showpiece thing, and that you would be showing off gameplay and showing like how amazing the game is, and not hit us with a CG movie. You know what I mean? Like for me, it was just like, what? Like I get it. Like yes, it's a new IP. Like it's something that people weren't expecting, whatever. But like when you have that one more thing should be like the oh shit moment. And for me, showing a CGI movie was not it.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you guys: what'd you guys think when you saw like Stalker? Because I thought that was pretty oh shit. But maybe I'm just maybe I'm a little bit easier impressed. I don't know.
Stalker gave me like those Metro vibes.
Yeah.
And I love Metro, so I'm definitely not. What's going on, guys?
Hey, E, can I give you proper?
E.
Can I give you a proper introduction, man? I want to make sure I introduce you properly, sir. We got the so we got B's in the house. We got the reasonable, the wise Eric Jackson E. So happy you could join us, man.
What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm not sure how long I can stay, but I just definitely want to jump in. While the pots are on the stove and the soup's hot. Because I'm pretty sure as the days go on, the soup's gonna cool down and people will come down, and
I changed my score.
Yeah, I saw you taking some heat over that. I still stick with my score that we kind of talked about. If we're scoring things, I'm still falling somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8.
Don't change your score.
And here, that's what it is. I never actually went official on my timeline with a score because it is what it is. I mean, scoring goes up and down. Like I've seen people throwing out scores of like 2 and 3. I'm like 2 and 3. Like, what happened to the sense of gaming wonder? Like, right? Like,
do you even like the game at that point? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, OBM exactly that, and it's sort of like you didn't have to like the show. And B making some great points. Like that is kind of true. Like, if I could shout out Ka keeps saying like, just give me that one, right? And we haven't, to me personally, we have not had that big moment, that big game that you just had to have, even through like the Xbox One generation, right? But part of me kind of knew too going in. Maybe I listened to what some of these people had to say when they're like temper expectations. 'Cause I know people were kind of walking some of that back and being like, maybe they're being cagey about it. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they're just literally saying, Kate, go into it with a certain level of whatever. So I'm watching it and I'm like, they don't have anywhere to go but up. So the one thing I felt that they definitely improved upon was their pacing. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't typically spend too much time on one particular thing. They didn't waste your time like speaking too much. They just kind of hit you with game after game after game. So as a gamer, there's a ton of stuff there that you could look forward to playing. Mm-hmm. But I know people were kind of thrown out there like, no, Hellblade 2 wasn't there. And I'm like, we knew that wasn't going to be there. Just like a year ago, they said, we're still preparing. We're still getting our mocap together. We're still doing, I'm like, so I think that was probably maybe Microsoft's fault by introducing that game, kind of going back on things that they said they never wanted to do and showing that game, when they introduced the Series X. But that game is probably going to be a ways off. So sad to say, it sounds like we're back at wait for E3 for the big stuff. But yeah, it's sort of like one of those things like B saying, like, when you come up to the mic and you say, hey, we got one more thing, we're conditioned as gamers to think that, oh shit, they're about to kick us in the nuts. Right? Now, as an Arcane stan,
yeah,
I'm like, cool. Like B said, I'm an Arcane guy. Like, I want to see more of what this is, but it wasn't enough for me to go, yeah, we're in there. This is gonna be something special. So I might be all over the place rambling. I'm just trying to catch up to where you guys are. But
no, it's good.
I thought the show as a game show, showing you things that are potential. We know their thing is Game Pass. We know they're pushing that. I just walked away kind of saying like, man, how am I have time to play a lot of the stuff they just showed?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
On top of all the stuff we just got. But gaming wonderment is dead because people are so beholden to platforms, and not just gaming platforms. They're beholden to social media, Twitter,
Thank you.
bubble
Yeah.
with keeping the energy of, I don't give a damn what this company showed. I'm gonna dog it, right? And that goes both ways. And it's like, when did you kill your gamer? When did your gamer
facts.
die so that your social media capper can live?
You know what's funny? People care more about being accepted in a circle on the Twitter community than they actually care about a game or gaming in general.
They're more concerned with being kicked out of a fucking fake neighborhood, a fake community.
Yeah.
Get out! You can't come back. Fuck you.
Or this podcaster.
Sorry, they got me cursing, man. They got
no,
me.
it's hey, right. You're saved. My man, he's saved. You all have a cursing out here. Hey, real
Got
quick, there's something I want to address.
Sorry, J Street expects better of me. I shouldn't be cursing like that.
Yeah, there's something I want to address here in the live chat, and no shade to this individual. I just think that this is kind of a symptom of the community, and I think what we shouldn't be doing as gamers. I'm not going to mention by name, but he says, how does Halo not get you excited? But Hades does. Weird. Well, it's not weird. Just like if Halo excites you over Hades, I don't think that's weird. That's just that's your preference. But as somebody who's played both games, for me personally, and I can't speak to what games you like. Maybe roguelikes aren't your thing, but Hades, generally speaking, as what Eric was saying, from a gamer perspective, if you're a gamer and you like different types of games, getting Hades in Game Pass, which is a game that was, revered by the industry, won many accolades, right? Considered one of the best games of 2020, and it's a really good game. It's one of those. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Supergiant Games. I mean, you were with me when we had Greg Casavin on.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite devs.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's good to see that Hades is coming to the other platforms.
Yeah. But I say it's big, it's exciting because you get to try it, quote unquote, for free, and that's a damn good game to try for free. Now it might not be your thing, but at least you get the opportunity to try one of the best games of 2020. That's what I'm referring to as being huge. Now whether you like it or not, that's up to the gamer, right? I mean, that's not for me to say. But I think we got to stop doing that. Where if someone doesn't like something, they're weird or something, or they that's just different tastes. OBM and I don't we see very differently on Halo, but I'm not like, oh my god, OBM's weird because he doesn't think Master Chief should die, and I do. You know what I mean? Like it's just difference of opinions. There's certain games that E and B money like that I don't like, but it's just different. Anyhow,
right.
I'm done ranting.
And look, man, like I said, the way they kind of roll things out, was I here doing cartwheels? No. Was I looking at it like, all I wanted to see from them was like, okay, they're showing some potential, because we know like those studios that they acquired are not going to have anything major to roll out. Most of them are still wrapping up multi-platform deals, right?
Yep.
And as far as Halo goes, I'm like, that's a better showing, but they had nowhere to go but up. From the last one, I'm like, that was a better presentation on how you can show Halo. It looked better. It was a little more action packed. I mean, we'll see how the rest of it kind of plays out. I want to see more of the campaign, but from a multiplayer standpoint, you could look at that and say, oh man, they got new armor in there. They got new things going on in there. We'll see what it all kind of unfolds as the days go on, but it's a showcase. They're showcasing games. It's not we're not here to deep dive. I keep seeing people, saying, well, the Horizon, state of play killed it. I'm like, that was a show dedicated to Horizon. And yes, I didn't see anything that visually impressed me as much as Horizon, but I saw what looked like some fun games. And yeah, it wasn't a ton of gameplay, but again, it's a showcase. Part of you has to sit back and say, and stop doing, I'm not going to tell people how to live however you want. I may just look at you crazy, but there's a point where you kind of go, okay, as the gamer, I'm cool with that. Do they need to do better? Yeah, they still need to do better. But we've been doing this since 2013. Eventually you get to a point where like, it's not on me to continue beating them down. They're doing the things that we've been asking them to do as far as trying to shore it up. Whether that plays out, we've been saying that for 2 years. Whether it plays out, we don't know yet.
Yeah, it was
You
definitely
know,
better than last year, which was better
right?
than the year before. And I think that, I'm in the data and
Probably the
analytics
best of the
field, and
3 years, man.
yeah,
Hmm?
I'm in the data and analytics field, and I think the thing I always look at is where are you trending, right? It's not always where you're at. Like you might think you're sitting in a good spot, but if you're trending downwards, that could be a danger sign, right? But
Right.
and we saw that at the end of the 360 generation, right? Where it's like, yeah, they were sitting in a good spot, but you could start to see the trending after 2008, 2009, 2010. You could start to see that, like, okay, it looks like they're getting a little fat and cozy over here, and took their foot off the gas, and it just kind
Hmm.
of continued, right? And so now it's going in the other direction, and that's and so like that's kind of like one of my takeaways. I had a few different ones, and I'm not gonna diminish anybody who's like looking for that one wow moment from the first party, technically that didn't get it. If you didn't get it, then it's not for me to try to challenge
Right.
somebody on that. But the one thing I do notice is I look back at the generation last year, or not last year, but the last generation, and like my top, like, say 15, 20 games of the generation. A handful of those were like visual showpieces, but a lot of them were just based, at the end of the day, the ones that I really gravitated to, like they hooked me on gameplay, they hooked me on, with story. There's a lot of aspect. The interesting thing is, like, in these shows, a lot of times it really is the graphics that is the thing that you can show, right? You can't really show people how the game plays too much. You can't feel the game when you're watching these commercials. You can't really understand the story. You can't really experience the sound that much. And so it really does. These shows do tend to be judged a lot by graphics. Graphics and big names, right? Like they would have dropped the Splinter Cell or something that could have, set things off. But usually I think it's just the big names, the big surprises, and then the graphics is what sells
Hmm.
it. When I look at it from a substance, and this is what I was telling Enrique before, I was like, when I went back to the list, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking at like just this year. I'm not talking about just wait until the E3. I'm talking about like from this show and through the end of this year. I'm looking at like 7, 8 games that I absolutely am downloading and playing like game day
Right.
one. You know what I'm saying? And it's a variety, and there is going to be at least one showpiece in there with Forza Horizon, Halo Infinite. I mean, when I put it, anybody can check my profile. I put in 2,000 hours in Halo 5, and a few hundred into the Master Chief Collection. That multiplayer looked, to me, as somebody that's really dialed in on that, that looks like it's going to be, has a lot of potential. I don't know if anybody was picking up on like the extra physics and things they had in there.
Hmm.
There are some little nuances that were really exciting me in that game. Back for Blood being in there, that was a surprise coming into the show. Next year you have like Plague's Tale, and then this year Hades. So like some of these the higher end indie devs, like that relationship they're building, to me that's a big trend. When you start to see things like a Plague Tale, Hades, what is some of the other ones we mentioned? Like there's a few of them, Atomic Heart, like these games they come out of nowhere, but they look like they are almost they could compete on a AAA level from graphics sometimes. So there's some exciting things definitely in there. And like I said, overall I was pretty happy. I do understand that, though, again, the people that are like that are coming away saying that I was hoping to get blown, that one thing that just made me melt my eyes and didn't get
Hmm.
it. Yeah, I think I still think Battlefield kind of and Forza kind of melted mine, but to each their own, right? So that's kind of my high level view of it.
Yeah, I want to
Hey,
go to.
OBM, hold up real quick. I just because I wanted to like co-sign on what OBM is
Mhm.
saying, and because I wanted to be clear, I am one of those people that's still waiting for them to like drop the hammer, like B was saying.
Yeah.
Where's that Gears moment? Like when we saw Gears on
Oh my
360,
Yeah.
God.
everyone was like,
Yes.
"Yo, I don't give a damn if I gotta punch an old lady. I'm getting a 360."
Yo, that's
I,
facts.
I don't condone hitting old ladies. I'm just saying, but
But
I'm just
that's
saying.
but that's
But
what
B
we're
is
talking
right.
about.
But so yeah, I'm still holding them to that. But at the same time, over the last few years, the one thing we kept saying is, "Yo, all this power talk, all this power talk. What are you doing about your games?" And then it's like
Exactly.
they started, okay, we got the power narrative that we were trying to work on, which again, I think they put too much time and focus into that. Personally, I think they should have started the studio acquisition before they even started really addressing all that. So they'd probably be in a better place. But hey,
Yeah.
they certain people have their ear. We know how that kind of goes, right? But as a fan, I was kind of like, okay, they're trying to shore that up. Again, I don't know what that's going to play out to be, but the funny thing is, we're always naturally going to make the comparisons to what the competitors are doing. I just look at it like this: I've had an Xbox. I've always had all the platforms. I'm doing nothing different than I've ever done as a gamer, right? So I kind of just sit back and go, I'm gonna go right back over. I'll play games on PlayStation. I'll play things that drop in Game Pass. It is what it is. I'm never without something to play.
Yeah,
Right.
that's facts. Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I want to.
It's a different age, right? Like, remember when we used to have to wait sometimes
Yeah.
months before something big comes out? It's everybody's backlog to hell, and they just keep filling it up these days.
Yeah, I want to grab the super chat. Then I'm sorry. Go ahead, E.
No, go ahead. Get
I just want to get the super chat, and I do want to go to B Money, get some thoughts real quick from B. But aim down scope with the $2 or £2 super chat. Thank you for that. It says 30 for 350. And B, what? So B, so you talked about that wow moment too. Eric just brought up a great example of, when Gears first was shown. You're someone that's been to E3. I think quite a few E3s, right? So you've experienced those wow moments in person. But overall, though, like, what did you think of the show in terms of just like Game Pass? I feel like they did hit a pretty good note, I think, with Game Pass, and at least for me, as somebody who subscribes to Game Pass, where it's like, okay, there's a lot of content that's coming into Game Pass, and my money, at least I feel my money, at least has been well invested. Although I stacked, but still, regardless, I still think the investment that I made in Game Pass has been pretty solid, especially after them showing, some of the games that are going to be dropping in Game Pass, like Hades and Plague's Tale 2. But what were your thoughts about what they show with regards to Game Pass? And even if they didn't have the wow moment, was there anything else that you were impressed with that they showed?
Yeah, I mean, in regards to Game Pass, they did exactly what they came to do, and that was to continue to provide content there. They have a great slate of games coming, for the rest of this year and going into next year. And, we just know that steady flow of games entering Game Pass is going to continue for, the foreseeable future. So, in regards to that, Game Pass, they came and did their job. There was a lot of great games in there, like 12 Minutes, Hades, Somerville, A Plague's Tale, Atomic Heart, Replaced, looked really good.
I was looking at that like,
Yeah.
Konami, where you at?
Yeah, right. Say, yo, facts. You replaced it. Look good.
Yeah. So Ascent is coming in there pretty soon. Like, they have a lot of great games coming to Game Pass. So in regards to that, they did exactly what they're supposed to do. I think they showed 30 games total. Yep. 27 of them are going to Game Pass. Yep. Like, you can't ask for anything else other than that. I mean, if you're subscribed to Game Pass, similar to the guys in this chat, we've stacked Game Pass and are going to have it for a while. Right. You're sitting pretty. You don't have to go out to the store. You don't have to go into the PlayStation store or the Xbox store and look for games, because Game Pass is going to have enough games for you to play for years to come. Like, there's something in there for everybody. So I'm sure you'll come across something that you can dive into. And then, in regards to the rest of the show, like, they did show, some big games. Like Battlefield was a game that I was really looking forward to, and that game looks absolutely amazing, as I expected it to. But, I think, for a lot of people, that was like the big moment of the show. 'Cause that gameplay just looked crazy. But, they had Far Cry there, and, they had a couple other games there that, just they weren't part of Game Pass, but I think they, filled out the rest of the show. And overall, like I said, I think it was a pretty good show. I'm kind of sitting in like a 6.5, 7 in regards to the score. A lot of stuff, had my interest, but, like I said, I still feel like they need that. They just need one. They need that big wow factor. They need that punch. And I think, like, me personally, I wouldn't have had Starfield there at all.
Why is that? That's interesting. Why not open the show?
To me, Starfield could have been that big moment. Like, why even show that trailer? Like, literally all they showed was somebody climbing up in the ladder, getting in a ship, and they flew off. Like, that trailer that shouldn't even been there.
Yeah.
Like I would have just kept Starfield in a tuck, and like I would have been like, all right, you guys keep working. If you can give me a vertical slice by the Game Awards or whatever, you know what I mean. Then you crack people head with that, you know what I mean. But I feel like that was just a wasted trailer in my opinion. That was just them saying like, yes, we have Starfield. Yes, it is exclusive.
Do you
Like,
think that was just fan service then, B?
yeah, for sure. I think
Yeah.
that they wanted to hammer home the fact that the Bethesda games are exclusive, and you know
That's
what I
it.
mean.
I think you hit
And
it right there.
yeah, like they wanted to hammer that home, and yes, that's true. Like that's great. The games are exclusive, but for me, like personally, I would have held that in the tuck. I would have waited till Summer Games Fest or Gamescom or even the Game Awards. Like when you have, you know, Bethesda behind it, a Todd Howard game, like a lot of people are anticipating that. For them to show like that small trailer was like, okay. Like for me, that should have been a head cracker. That should have been like, oh shit, like wow, you know what I mean? And they should have just held that. And when it was ready, when it had a vertical slice, when it had like true gameplay, then show the game and let people go crazy over it. Now it's just like people on Twitter like, oh yes, but those games are exclusive. Like, okay, that's great, but we can't even really talk about Starfield. Yeah, they showed it, but what do we know about it? Besides somebody climbed up a ladder, got in a ship, and flew away.
Yeah, and I will say this, B, that the
that platform loyalty, B, that Twitter platform loyalty.
But I'll say this, B, the protagonist or the person they showed in Starfield looked like the protagonist from Returnal, by the way. Like exact, like seriously,
That was pretty funny.
like right. Am I the only one that you noticed? You guys noticed that too, right?
Yeah, yeah. That definitely, the resemblances are uncanny. It is there. It's there.
Yeah.
But
Usually an extensive character creator, so it is kind of funny that whoever did that decided to pick something that looks so familiar. No, I think you're right though. I think on the Starfield thing, I honestly I doubt Todd Howard shows this if they're not part of Xbox this year, or if Xbox had more to show. I think that it was just something they needed to. That exclusive thing, it is part, whether I've always said I honestly don't care. I care about what I'm going to play. I don't really, what you don't get to play or what somebody else doesn't get to play doesn't really add any value to me. So, right. But I do understand why, from a business standpoint, they needed to make that clear. The whole, Xbox doesn't have exclusives, and honestly, I said this at the beginning of the show that it's kind of a silly talk these days, anyways, because everybody with a PlayStation controller is going to pick that up and stream it from a Series X APU for $15 next year and never have to pick up an Xbox console. So it's kind of a silly argument anyways. But I do understand why they had to make that clear. What they're trying to do right now from a business standpoint is drive home the standpoint that yes, we understand exclusive content is important, and here's our message to kind of prove that. And so I do think they had to get it out of the way. I do agree with you, B, that was, when we were talking about it in an Xbox era post game show, my letdowns, ironically, were a couple of the things that I was most looking forward to, and that wasn't Halo. I was really hyped about Halo, but I think the Bethesda games and the Typhoon games, I was expecting them to give us a better idea of how they played. I thought one of the interesting ones, and it was in the chat, somebody asked the question: is that was Redfall like a Back from Blood, or is that another one of those types of games? And it's actually not. Like, that's the one thing that kind of really struck me, and I was telling Enrique this before the show, is I saw the job postings on those last year, was it 2019, and they were hiring for an arcane ass game. And from what I saw, like with the descriptions even after the fact, they still says it's an open world immersive game. And so I just think that maybe that was that they used CGI and they didn't really do a good job selling what Arcane does well. And I don't know if this is like them trying to maybe reach out and branch to the mainstream, maybe trying to do some more, like, hey, we understand our games are kind of niche, and obviously this game was in production before Microsoft bought Bethesda, so maybe this was like Bethesda saying, Arcane, you're gonna have to sell more games and figure out how to reach over and get some more of that mainstream. And so they're highlighting this co-op stuff. But I do think that game didn't really show well to Arcane fans. I don't think the Starfield game really did enough for Bethesda RPG fans. And then the Typhoon game, which Jez has actually put out a piece that was pretty good at highlighting some of the ambitions of it. That didn't really do anything to communicate anything to anybody, and that's supposed to be an ambitious game. So those are my three actual disappointments. So mine were like different than what your guys's were in terms of why my score wasn't higher than an 8. Like I said, I was pretty hyped about most everything in general else, but yeah, just I think when you're showing this, it'd be nice if they're even if it's a CGI, if you do a better job just showing what is this supposed to be about.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, E.
No, I was just gonna say though, like OBM, it's kind of interesting. You highlighting that they kind of showed Redfall and kind of made it seem like it's sort of like like a Back for Blood or a Left 4 Dead type thing, right? When you said like the DNA of how they've been hiring kind of like actually leads to something different. So I'm wondering if it is like a drop in, drop out co-op type thing. But them showing it the way they did definitely feels like that old DNA of Microsoft, where it's like our audience, we have to speak to them from a multiplayer standpoint as opposed to a single player standpoint. And if that is the case, I hope they get away from that.
Yeah,
because you have gamers of all types, and that's what let's go. I hate bringing this game up at this point, but Scalebound. I remember when they showed Scalebound and they showed all this multiplayer. And I'm like, you went to platinum for multiplayer, and you're highlighting the multiplayer. Why? Because it's on an Xbox platform, and you think that's all that the fan bases care about. It's like co-op stuff, multiplayer stuff. So
to your point there, I was actually concerned when I first saw that, because let's also not forget what happened with Wolfenstein Youngblood, and that turned out to be a huge disappointment.
Yeah, that was a big miss. Yeah,
Bethesda was pivoting in that direction, so I'm guessing with Microsoft not really being able to tell them what to do until, like, I don't know, was it 3 months ago? That probably was a Bethesda decision, but it was probably along the same lines, though. It was, again, trying to appeal to that really casual crowd with a niche studio. So
yeah, that was a great point, though. I didn't even think about that with Starfield. Like as you were talking about it, I was kind of sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, B's right, because there was so much pent up hype and excitement for this game, and had it missed E3, obviously I think a lot of us have been like, oh shit, this sucks, and I probably would have dinged the conference another point below. But anyhow, but I think to your point, B, had they had a vertical slice, something a little bit more, and shown it at the Game Awards, I think the wait would have been worth it for a lot of us, right? Like, it would have been that wow moment, potentially, what you're describing. That's a great point. It's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
It could still get there, though, right? Like, if they knock it out of the park next year with their walkthrough, they could still get there. There's a lot of tech in the. So actually, there was one big piece of news that actually was a positive tick for me, which was they embedded the cross gen, because I know that was a consideration for Starfield. So it's going to be all next gen. And I remember talking to somebody that was pretty in the know in terms of like the technology that they were trying to do. And he's like, I can't even figure out how this is even a conversation, because if they're really aiming to do what they're going to do, none of that was really possible with the streaming on the last gen and things. So to me, that was,
thank God, right?
Yeah. So that's a huge thing. And so I do think it could still give you maybe that gear. It's not going to give it in the same way. Like, I think Starfield's going to look good because it's going to use photogrammetry and things like that for its environments. But it's going to impress in other ways in terms of like what they're trying to do with like animations and physics and stuff. So, but yeah, that's all I wanted to add to that.
Yeah.
Glorious War said it is drop in, drop out co-op on that game.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Okay. I will say there's one announcement, guys, that I have not played this game. Been trying to get the BRAP guys to play this game, but the Pirates of the Caribbean, Sea of Thieves, that actually got me excited. Like, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. We got Captain Jack. We got the crew.
Man, you still gonna be selling out on that boat by yourself.
Exactly.
I was hoping that you guys. So are you guys saying, B and E? Are you guys saying that there's no way you're gonna join the SS BRAP and sell the 7 Seas? Gar.
No.
No, and I'm a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan.
Right.
Like I love those movies, but you on your own,
You know,
man.
That's just not my. It's just not my flavor, man.
But I mean, it's got Captain Jack. I mean, come on, like you guys. I don't know. I love that announcement. I was actually a big fan of that announcement. I guess I'm the only one.
I
here.
was too. No, I'm not. I'm not a
Start
Sea of
club
Thieves.
on Xbox.
No, I'm not a Sea of Thieves fan. I occasionally I try to jump into it. I keep downloading it and undownloading it because friends like try to talk me into it, and I get on there and I just kind of I don't know what I do. I just like I don't know, run around and fish or something. But it's never really clicked with me. But I do think that was kind of a neat little partnership. So they do deserve kudos for that because it did make me go, oh, maybe I will try it again. I probably won't stick like usual, but Enrique, when you do jump on, I will. Well, we can fumble around together, I guess, and see what happens.
I think this is a great time because it brings comment. It's kind of like that. It extends that branch, if you will, to maybe the more casual gamer, right? By having that Pirates tie-in, like we see Fortnite do this all the time, and I didn't realize how ingrained. I mean, I knew that Fortnite was really like ingrained in the minds of many gamers, right? Because it's super popular. But in terms of its roots in pop culture or its, I mean, it's got like there's like musicians and DJs that you can download as characters, skins, whatever. And in Fortnite that I wasn't even aware of. I'm like I only know this because my oldest son, but I kind of like I thought of that a little bit when I saw the Pirates tie-in, and it obviously makes sense, right? Pirates of the Caribbean, Sea of Thieves. I think this. I thought it was a good move by them to partner with Disney with this, and maybe we see other Disney characters.
It makes sense. I mean, the move makes sense, and I said that the minute I saw it. I'm just like, I'm just not interested. But hey, I know a lot of people who are, and I was like, for them, I'm like, that's probably huge. They're probably like nothing right now.
E, have you played Sea of Thieves?
I have, not recently, but I have. Yeah.
Okay.
I played it with you when it first time it came around.
Oh, did you? I don't remember, man. It was such a long time ago.
It was enough for me.
Yeah. And I think B, you played it for a little bit too, right?
Yeah, and then I stopped.
Yeah, like I said, hey, I can respect what that game has done. I can respect the turnaround it's had, and I'm always happy for people who enjoy it. But it's just not, it's just not my jam.
Yeah, I'm super happy for Rare because I was,
me too,
one of those guys who were like, yo, Rare needs to get back in the fold. You know what I mean? They were on the Connect stuff, and even though Sea of Thieves isn't my game, my type of game or whatever, I'm super happy, that they had success and.
Yep.
I've been able to, stick around and continue to make games. So hopefully, their next game, they can figure out what it is and, we'll get a chance to play that.
Yeah. Well, I want to go to Halo here real quick because, that's a game that's been under the radar, as they say, for quite some time. A lot of eyes on this game, a lot of anticipation and excitement. Interesting to see Bonnie Ross on stage. We haven't heard or seen much of her. Oh, I was waiting for Joseph Staten to give her a Stone Cold Stunner, though. But I just look. The campaign piece, that trailer they showed of Chief kind of floating in space, and talking to the AI and about Cortana, that intrigued me. That piqued my interest more than anything else. It's had a little bit of a darker tone to it. OBM, I gotta say, like I'm not as involved in Halo multiplayer that much these days, or at all, to be honest. But
you're Call of Duty guy.
Yeah, there wasn't enough for me to just be like, wow, I got to get back into Halo multiplayer for when I saw. It didn't move. The Halo showing for Microsoft's biggest iconic IP, right?
Mm-hmm.
What they showed was not enough for me. Like this is what got you. This is your franchise player, and I felt like again they didn't really show enough. They kind of, and I know they're gonna have more multiplayer stuff this week, but for Halo, but it just didn't. It just felt like. I don't know. It just missed the mark for me. Like, it didn't feel like they were giving it the love that Halo deserves in terms of just giving it a little more time. They kind of just, okay, here it is, Master Chief floating in space. Okay, here's some CGI of multiplayer. Okay, and then on to the next game. I'm like, this is Halo. This is your franchise player.
Well, there's a few things, and we could probably get into like a whole nother hour show on Halo, so we probably won't go too deep down this rabbit hole. But you know, I think there's a few things that are true, and I know Grubbs kind of said it. They're pretty much two things is they're really just at this point focused on the Halo S, you know, being a Halo S Halo game, and focusing on the people that are fans today, like that play it today. I think the other aspect is the fact that, you know, doing another vertical slice. It looks like they're going to be going right up to the minute again. So doing another vertical slice where they could have, you know, really done an in-depth campaign dive would have taken some time away from development. And so it was like one of those trade-offs. And so what I'm expecting, and from what I understand, is there's going to be constant drops until it does release. They hadn't shown multiplayer before. I think they needed to show some of that. And I think they did a good job with that. The one thing when I talk about the Halo S Halo players and some of the things, like if you've been reading any of the drops from 343 over the last year, you know, when they're doing their monthly releases up until about, you know, 2 months ago, you know, they've been almost every one of them. It doesn't matter what the update's for. It keeps talking about the sandbox. And like, so the first thing they showed today was like, they kind of showed over that sprawling map, and they're like, if you kind of connect the dots with like what the way Halo fans who've been like ingrained in it you're going to look at that and be like here's my playground, and this is like Halo CE evolved to the next level the way I always kind of dreamt it, right? So that's the way that I think a lot of that's the appeal they're going for right now. And I get what you're saying, like for people that play it for the story and for the immersion and in the world, then the visuals become much more important, and they're not necessarily doing that. I've said before that the more they spread out the sandbox, the more they're going to dilute those visuals, because you can only have so much. It's just like, you know, it's like thinking about it as like, you know, as a salary cap, right, with your hardware and stuff like that. So if you're going to spend it, if you're going to spread it out like that, you're not going to be able to spend as much on one player or one thing, or one area of the team. And so that's kind of like they've really focused on that sandbox. It is going to have better physics. It is going to have more stuff on screen. It is going to have the widest environments they've ever had, with like the longest sight lines they've ever had. They're claiming it's going to have more. Again, this is claim, but we have to, like E says, you got to see how they do it. They execute on it. But the promise is there that it's going to be more dynamic than any of the ones they've had. You know, the last couple 343 campaigns, people have complained they're very linear, like very corridor shooter in the campaigns. They're not as replayable because of that, regardless of the story or anything else. So that's what they focus on there, and I think they did a good job on the multiplayer for, again, people who are still playing Halo, whether you're like one of the 10 million that played it on PC, or you're still playing Halo 5 on, you know, console or whatever. I think they did a good job kind of blending the classic and the modern with the grapple hook, and kind of showing how some of the physics are going to play a little bit more of a part and stuff. So that was my takeaway. So like I said, I came away very positive, like with a very positive impression, but I wasn't necessarily looking. But when you said the story was what grabbed you, that's where I was like, man, like it's like you're just trying to avoid showing crack to the mainstream right now. That's what I kind of felt like that was. But yeah, so like I think we're just looking for different things on that, and based on what you're looking for, you're probably going to come away with a completely different impressions of what that demo was.
Yeah, no, that's well said, OBM. B and E, feel free to B or Eric, feel free to jump in here with your thoughts on, you know, the Halo trailer and, you know, what Microsoft showed.
No, excuse me. Now that you got it, when you mentioned it, like I did find it interesting, because in past podcasts when we were talking about it, we said everyone kind of assumed, even on the timeline, it's like, are they going to open with that or Starfield, or are they going to close with that or Starfield,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it was pretty interesting that it was like almost middle to end of the show, you know, as opposed. So I was like, how do they feel about Halo at this point? Is kind of like how you feel. Like, are they kind of feeling like it is a part of the staple, but it's not the staple for them anymore? You know, because again, when you see other, competitors do their shows, they book in usually with the IP that people are the most recognizable to their fan bases, right? So, I mean, not to read too much into it, but that was interesting that Enrique kind of like pointed that out. But again, like I said, the way they presented it, I guess for me, I was just looking for them to show it in a better light than they did last year. And they did that. So that was intriguing to kind of see like a little clip of campaign, even though we didn't see campaign gameplay. We just, kind of saw the cutscene. That's kind of how they've always shown it. And we already knew that they were going to deep dive more into the multiplayer side of it, or show more of the multiplayer, I should say, not the deep dive. I think that's coming this week. But it just, yeah, I mean, it was a better showing.
You brought up a really good point. I never even thought about this. I mean, obviously we know that it was in the middle, but they bookend this show with Bethesda games. So I think that maybe that was the message that because I was like, why Omen? Like, I mean, as much as I love Arcane and I was really looking forward to that with that particular demo, they had to known that's not the most amazing.
But
way
what is that
to land?
Does that speak volumes into how they feel about? I think what you just brought up, Eric. Does that speak volumes to how they feel internally about Halo right now? Like that it's maybe not.
I think it's more to do with Bethesda. I think hey, we're introducing Bethesda. Bethesda's like we're different, right?
But they had a big blowout, or not a big blowout, but they had a pretty good showing for Forza Horizon 5, though.
Yeah, and they had a pretty good showing for Halo too. I mean, it wasn't like it was just a few seconds.
No, I know, but my point, Obium, is if I'm ranking me personally, if I'm ranking the franchises, Halo is above Forza Horizon 5.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
In terms of like what the brand is associated with. Again, I go back to the Mario thing. Like Mario, Nintendo would never treat Mario that way, right? Sony probably wouldn't treat Kratos or, the characters from The Last of Us, right? Like it just, I just found it a little odd. That's all. I'm not saying it was a terrible, like it was on the level of Craig. It was a better showing. I agree with Eric on that regard. I just didn't think they gave it enough love, if you will, on stage presence. It was nice to see Bonnie and Staten out there.
Are we talking about the GOAT?
Yeah, we're talking about the GOAT.
I talk about the GOAT.
We got Fairway Forte in the house. What's up, Forte?
Forte,
I'm gonna give you a hug right now, man.
I want to hug you too, man. Today was a great day. Today was a great day. I have a question. I have a question for you. You guys are talking about Halo. I want to, especially since we got the leader of the Spartan Coalition up in here, Mr. One Bad Mother.
The Spartan Coalition.
I got a question for you guys about some Halo stuff. I just been going back and forth in a semi argument with somebody about something.
Okay, go ahead.
When you saw Halo today, what do you consider that to? Do you consider that we saw gameplay, or do you think we just saw in-game assets of game, just in-game engine, or do you think we saw gameplay?
Definitely not gameplay. I don't think.
For the multiplayer.
On the well, I think multiplayer we saw some gameplay.
Yeah, I thought so.
I thought it was mixed in though.
Oh, it was definitely mixed in.
Yeah,
it was mixed in. I'm just.
Is this a debate that you're having with the one and only Slow-Mo Backslap?
Somebody I'm just having to argue with.
Slow-Mo?
I'm just arguing with consistently about what gameplay looks like versus what in-game in-game engine game looks like. But I'm just saying, I just want to know if the rest of the BRAP panel kind of can see with both their eyes and notice that something's gameplay versus something not being gameplay. But
all right, I want to go to B Money real quick. B, what are your thoughts? And then I'll get back to you, Forte. What are your thoughts with the with Halo, man?
Similar to what Eric said, I feel like the game showed better, but structurally, the way that they showed the game, I just think it's weird that they showed Battlefield before this, because to me, like Battlefield took the thunder out of like the multiplayer for like Halo for me. Because when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. Like when I saw Battlefield, I was like, wow, that looks crazy. You know what I mean?
What was it about Battlefield?
That's interesting.
Yeah, what was it about Battlefield for you, B, that gave you more of that wow factor, is what it sounds like, compared to Halo's multiplayer?
Battlefield looked like all out chaos.
Yeah, it did.
There's planes, there's helicopters, there's You know what I mean?
Tornadoes.
There's tornadoes. There's, you know what I mean?
That storm
There's,
did look crazy, man. I was like,
yeah,
damn.
like dudes flying around in the sky and wingsuits. You know what I mean? Like people, you know, driving 4-wheelers off the roof, the crash helicopter. Like it just looked absolutely insane. And that's, you know, that's all stuff that can be done like in gameplay. So it's just like when they showed the multiplayer for Halo, it's just like, okay, it's Halo multiplayer, big team battle, looks good. On to the next one.
What's next?
Dang.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
Hey,
crazy.
Can I highlight something? No,
Go ahead,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I remember like about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks maybe.
Mhm.
There was a lot of back and forth about release dates.
With Halo.
No. On like Horizon, like people were like, "Ain't no release date. That game ain't coming." But
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Horizon what?
Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have a release date.
We didn't get a release date on Halo.
No, we didn't.
That was that was
No, that was the
a
only
big
weird
takeaway.
thing about the whole thing.
We didn't
I
get
think
a
they're
release
working.
date.
I
No,
think
they
they're
just kept
working
saying
up into
hollow.
the. Yeah, I think they're working up through the
I-
last minute, and they don't know
Either-
where it's going to land yet.
I would.
It's all. It just goes to show. It's like
I think
they're
they
not very
probably
different guys. They shit. It's
No,
like
no.
that. It be like that.
yeah.
I would be
think they
surprised if
probably,
it's delayed.
Well, I think I think it's on target for this year. I think they're trying to shoot for because part of me feels like they're trying to shoot for September.
No way.
But yeah, I think they were trying to shoot for September because that's when
You think they were or they are?
No, they were.
Oh, they were. Okay,
trying
okay,
to.
okay.
They were shooting for September, and unless they can't get it out the door by then, they have leeway up until November. I think September is the month that they want to release it in because you got to think September is like a good 2 months before all the big heavy hitter, multiplayer games start coming out. Battlefield's in October, Call of Duty's usually the last week of October, beginning of November. So you kind of got that whole beginning part of the fall to yourself as a multiplayer shooter. That gives them the ability to build up that player base and make people make decisions. Like if the multiplayer is everything we want it to be, some people might be like, yo, this Halo, it's going to be hard to put this down, But if they try to come out closer to all those other games, people already have their allegiances to those games already. They may not even jump off of something like Call of Duty or Battlefield by the time Halo comes out because there's like, yo, I'm trying to level my characters up. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. If they can get out, the earlier they can get that out, the better. But of course, they're going to make sure the game is functional before they do it. So I think they got a moving target on it. That's why they're not going to really commit to a date yet.
I think it's a moving target, and maybe this is just me reading too much into it. I do know that if Spencer and Stat are looking at it coming up to release date and they're like, no, this ain't it, they're not going to release it. And I think the unfathomable could happen where it could get pushed to 22. And the reason is because as much heat as they took that heat last year, and as much as they would take this, they cannot have this game not be great. And I think I know that's kind of the sentiment. That's why it got a delay to begin with. It could have got pushed out. They could have split it up. They could have done all kinds of things. I still think it's a possibility. I wouldn't say that it's a probability. I don't know that. I don't have any inside information, but the fact they didn't give you a date tells you I think because they might even said fall 2021 if they were sure it's 2021. So because they put dates on a lot of stuff, right? Like you go through all the other games. I'm doing the analytical thing. It's like one of these things is not like the others, and it's like everything else got like 2022, first half of 2022, October, September, whatever. It got nothing. It's completely right now, no date. So to me, that tells me they don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's a moving target. And Jago6 says, Forte, there is some dedicated Halo fans out there. What are you talking about? I know there's dedicated Halo fans out there, but I also know those other communities are way bigger than Halo is when it comes to Call of Duty, and people literally move games out of the way of that game just so that, especially in a multiplayer front, just so they can have a chance to survive. And Halo used to have that type of staying power to be able to fight up against games like that, but it's been so long since Halo has been garnered as that type of game in most people's eyes. They have to kind of build back up to that again. And I mean, nobody's going to tell you anything different around that. I just feel like at this point they showed a really, really good product. Now it's about timing on when they can actually release that game. I think the whole free-to-play aspect is definitely going to help it. But think about it. You got Warzone. Warzone's a free-to-play game too. And,
Warzone,
so at a certain,
PUBG.
PUBG. So at a certain point, you got to kind of look at it like, you got Halo, but then you have all these other games out there that are trying to fight for your free-to-play time. It's not even a dollar amount; it's just time at this point. Like,
that's a great point, Forte.
Yeah, so that's the only reason. That's the only thing I'm really saying. That's why I say it needs to get out as early as possible. But I also can see it coming out next year, because I was like, I couldn't believe this game was releasing this year anyway, because I felt like for what they had to do, what people had a problem with, it was going to take longer than the 1 year to fix all that. Now we haven't really seen anything with the single player. The one thing I will say is seeing that cinematic in-game trailer that they did today. It was the first time probably in a long time that I actually felt connected to Halo story-wise, because I got Halo 2 vibes listening to him going through zero gravity. He took time to stop and think about the decisions he's made as he was going past dead bodies of UNSC characters. And when he got to you would see he would shove Covenant out the way, but he would pick up a UNSC soldier, hold him and look at him, and then he just kept moving. And then when he finally got to the Warthog, he reached over to grab the assault rifle. And it was like you could see, or not, don't see his face, but you could see the emotion that, dog, this is on me. This is on me.
Forte.
And that's what I took from that. That's what I took from that.
Yes.
I was like, yo, this is what I'm talking about. I don't need look, Halo has never been the greatest looking game, but it's always been a story-based game that literally pulled on heartstrings at the right time in the single player narrative side of it. And that is something Halo lost over this last decade.
Did you get the sense that he had at that point he's gone through some shit? Like not battle worn, but he's
emotional.
Yeah, like he is. Yeah, like you hear what he says. He's like like I forget what he says. Like stuff changes and
what's the name said? Because the other AI he was like, well, she was like, well, my submarine was supposed to have been deleted when she was catching. She said, when I'm still here, and he was like, good, and she was like, what do you mean? He was like, that means we're still in. She said, well, that wasn't part of the plan. He was like, plans change. And then he literally reached to the back of his head and held out the data pad for her to get into. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about.
But I think he said to her, like, reference to like the things changes like they always do or something.
He said orders always change.
Yeah, exactly.
They are our orders always change.
Yeah.
And that was the classic stoic Master Chief saying, well, no matter what we have to do, we're going to run through this wall in order to do it. And I thought that was a very good depiction of what we've been missing from Halo. So as long as we can get that back, I'm very confident in what they can do long term with the game. I would agree. But I just want them to take their time to get it out. If it's this holiday, great. If it's next holiday, that's great too. Or not next holiday, but early next year, that's great too. But that multiplayer, Jesus Christ, I'm ready for that to come out now.
No, but see, that's my point. That's always been my argument with the campaign, that in a crowded genre where you have games like, and it's great that the multiplayer is free to play, but so is Warzone, so is Fortnite, so is PUBG, so is probably missing another game out there. But I mean, there's so much, that's such a crowded space now where, when Halo first came out, 20 years ago, and by the way, I was an Xbox Live beta tester. Just want to throw that in there again.
Oh Lord, here we go.
I was there. Look, I was there. I think everyone on this panel was day one when Halo 2 dropped, and we were all on Xbox Live. Like, holy shit, right? There wasn't anything like it. But now that's not the case. You have so much out there, and you have free-to-play versions of games that are really good. I mean, Warzone's a really good game. Fortnite's, is not my thing, but it's a very popular game. I think the way Halo can kind of carve itself out of the, kind of stand out from those other games is with what you're just describing, Forte, a solid campaign where people are really invested in Chief. And that's why I said earlier, like, I liked what I saw, that small clip when he was floating in space, the dialogue. I felt like, okay, I'm getting the feels. You know what I mean?
Oh, and it looked beautiful.
It looked good too. It did look good.
That's part of why I said that was a much better showing. And again, I preface that with saying that's not hard to go to coming from Craig, but it felt more like how they usually present Halo. It felt more.
That was more, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, Forte. Like,
that was more three.
Yeah.
That was the 343 that I was expecting to see last year with the visuals.
Yeah.
That's what that was the one thing that pissed me off about him. Like, I was like, how do you mess up the one thing that you're great at? No one will ever say Halo 4 was an ugly game. No one will say Halo 5 was an ugly game. But then you come, not saying Halo Infinite was an ugly game, but it was just incomplete. Like, just look like.
No, it looked ugly. It looked ugly.
Armor. Hold on, look, Chief's armor.
It looked ugly, bro.
If you look at Chief's armor in last year's showing of it, when he was standing in front of the lift before he went out into the world, if you look at, because that was the best that he looked in that whole scene. If you look at his armor, then his armor is almost identical what it looked like in that cutscene that we saw. But the difference was lighting means everything. And what was the thing that was missing holistically in that whole last reveal? No lighting, flat textures, all of that stuff was gone. And you see what lighting can do, because that was the one thing that stood out in that whole trailer to me was, look at the lighting, bro. Look at the ray tracing. Look what they're actually doing to make this character that we care about stand out. Because they were, let's be for real, they were being real disrespectful to Chief over the last decade.
Go ahead, preach, Forte.
They were being disrespectful to it. And that's why I felt like the story aspect of, they was literally pulling on my heartstring, because I literally felt like I was like watching something from Halo 2 with the way the story beats was going. And we don't even know what the whole story of the game is going to be. Yeah. But the one thing, and I don't know who said, I do want to reply to, was that you, E, or was it B that was talking about Battlefield?
Oh, that was me.
That was you, B. Okay.
B confirmed that Microsoft cares more about Battlefield.
No, I will tell you this. I will tell you this.
Is that what you're saying?
I will.
Hey, man, I ain't saying all that.
I will tell you.
It's pretty close though.
Now, being a person that was super excited for this Battlefield and seeing this gameplay, I was blown away. But it's everything I expected it to be. Straight chaos, freaking Levolution at its best. Maps the size of Europe. It was everything I thought it was going to be. And I'm with E. That's why I hope 343 and Xbox find a way to get this game out, at least either way before this game comes out or a little bit after, because it's kind of a hard pill for me. Because the one thing that I will tell, and anybody that's played Destiny will know this, when I was watching that multiplayer trailer, I felt like I was watching a Bungie cut trailer for Destiny, because everything looked like it was like the way that they cut that multiplayer, that seamlessly looked like it was like this great thing.
Oh yeah, like, that's right, Forte. It did look like that. Yeah,
I was looking at it, I was like, yo, me and Cognito, we were sitting there like, yo, why does it look like a Destiny trailer?
It does.
And the one thing I will always say about Destiny and Bungie trailers, they know how to make a trailer.
They know how to get me to get back into Destiny by showing me a trailer, man.
So when I saw that multiplayer, as much as I feel like Battlefield had a better showing because of just the scope of it, is pretty crazy. Being a person that's in the Destiny ecosystem and know how a Bungie trailer could get me hype, I felt that same thing for Halo. The only problem is it's not enough time in the day to do both. you either gonna know life one or you're gonna know life the other. If you want to take Battlefield serious, you kind of got to be in there all the time. And it's the same thing. And Halo's all about repetition.
Yeah.
You got to be in there all the time.
Yeah.
So so something's got to give. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but ultimately they both show very, very well. And I think most people are going to be happy. Look at Tim Keeley. Look at Jeff Keeley's
who's
tweet.
Tim Keeley?
Yeah, I was thinking of my DM in my head when I was saying it. I was thinking my DM. My DM name is Tim Keeley, and I was thinking him. Jeff Keeley. He put up a tweet asking how does people feel about how did you feel about the Xbox reveal? And it was like 46% A+ or A overall. So I think people are, Halo, I think was that big bugaboo for a lot of people. And I think they kind of showcased games that you didn't even see at this event. You're like, yo, the future is promising for Xbox. And that's the thing that I took away. If you should be happy about this event by itself, but this also gives you confidence that there's going to be a moment in this generation where Xbox is going to be releasing a game, it seems like every other month. Yeah. And I just can't wait to see that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great point.
And on that note, Enrique, I think he's offset your Xbox negativity for the day, and I think it's a good place to balance it out. I'm just kidding.
Oh, was he being negative?
I know. I'm kidding. I'm giving him shit.
If he was negative, man.
He wasn't.
What did you give the score? What did you give it?
What did I give it?
Yeah, what did you give the show?
Well, I originally gave it an 8, and then after kind of rewatching the trailers and kind of thinking about it more, digesting what I saw, I changed my score to a 7, and apparently that got
you went backward.
Yeah, apparently you can't go backwards. I guess.
Wait, what show? What was the thing that made you go back?
Yeah, you know what?
They came for his ass too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, what made you go back?
Yeah, what? What did you do? I went from an 8 to a 7.
I went forward after my first score that I gave was a 9.
You could always go forward, but you can't go back, I guess.
No, my first score I gave it was a 9, and then I sat there and I thought about it, and then that's when someone told me that you can't use that because it wasn't at the show. I was like, but it's the promise of everything else coming. On the show by itself, it was a 9 for me. When I went back and thought about Phil Spencer when he was talking about games we ain't even see, I'm like, yo, I was like, that means we still got 5 or 6 other students. We still got Perfect Dark out there. We still got whatever the coalition is making. We got Hellblade. We got we didn't even hear about Fable.
But to be fair, Phil does that like after every show where he'll say that.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. But he also does at the end of a show where people are like kind of mad on the show.
But look, so
but just not to be combative, but I said he does that. He'll say, there were things we didn't even show. Well, why didn't you show it? It's like,
because it's not ready to be shown. I mean,
I get that too. But I'm just saying, but then don't say it at all because that's going to lead people right.
Yeah. No, I just think I kind of
said what we said.
I kind of look at it. Well, I guess I kind of look at it as more of, and it not as this is what we didn't show. It's just like more of, like, I wasn't even thinking, because the show was so good to me, I didn't even think about those games that they didn't even have there. And then it was like more of a reinforcement of, whoa, I forgot about these other games. I forgot about Fable. I forgot about State of Decay 3. I didn't even think about Perfect Dark until 2 seconds ago when I just said
Forte, real quick.
Hold on real quick. See, the thing is, though, is like, I think most people, and some people, like, we always get to these shows and people end up forgetting, but going into it, most podcasts and most timeline was saying, like, don't expect to see X, Y, Z. Right. So then for Phil to say, hey, there was stuff we didn't even show. It's like, you gave me like a delicious sandwich, and then I got to the last bite, so it's better with like the garlic mayo aioli on it. It's like,
right.
You had garlic mayo aioli back there, you didn't say shit.
But look, look, my thing with going back on the score was, this is the part you missed, Forte, and go ahead. Is what we were discussing was that there wasn't that wow factor, that wow game that made me say, like B said, like, holy shit. Like when they first introduced the world to Gears of War at E3, that was a holy shit moment. Yeah. And they didn't have that. And here I am, I'm a multi-console owner. I'm playing a holy shit game right now. in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So that's the only reason I went from an 8 to a 7.
Okay,
Outside of that, it was a good
That's
game.
fair.
It was a good game. It was a good showing. It's their best E3 in 3 years, in my opinion.
What did you give them in 2018? Because that's the thing, and also you got to also think about what you gave these shows in the past. Because
I didn't score that show in 2018. I don't think.
Are you sure? Because we can go back and look at tape.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
If I go back and see this, if I go back and look at that BRAP after the fact, and you come out and say it was an 8, and then you gave this one less than that one,
Look,
and this
man.
one was
Okay,
way
look,
better than that
look.
one.
It's been their best show in years, and the roadmap is good. But like I said, it's
a great roadmap.
That's why I changed it from 8 to a 7, and
okay,
because they're still missing that thing. Like Cognito says, I just need that one. While all these things are great. And I'm not trying to sound like a Debbie Downer here. They just don't have that magic yet that PlayStation first party and Nintendo first party has right now. They just haven't, and they may get there eventually. That takes time. I think culture.
Yeah.
I think Eric, you talked a lot about that as people kind of parade out all the studios they've acquired. Those acquisitions are great, but you sometimes you can have too many cooks in the kitchen.
But the thing is, Enrique, is that they could have the magic. They just don't structure the shows correctly.
Yeah,
like we knew that they were working on Fable, right?
Yeah.
When they announced Fable last year, was that necessary?
No,
it wasn't. Like Fable could have been like that magic moment. Like we know that they're working on it. We don't need you to show us this.
Yeah, but I think
the small trick. No.
Well, I think a lot of people during that time, I think that bought them a lot of time, though.
But
because they were trying to sell. They were also trying to. They were also trying to sell a system.
Oh, wait, let B finish his point real quick, man.
They have other stuff to hold people off. Like everything that they throw in Game Pass will hold people off. They've been doing that up until this point anyway. Them showing us that small trailer for Fable was unnecessary. Them showing us the Perfect Dark thing was unnecessary. Like when we see games like that we don't know are coming, or like it's a re-reveal of a game or whatever, like that should be the magic moment every fucking time. Like when we saw Titanfall, when they first showed that on Xbox One, people lost their shit. Like I gotta get an Xbox to play Titanfall. Titanfall looks insane. When they showed The Division, when they showed Rainbow Six, like when you show a game like for the first time, and you know that game is special, it should be a magic moment. People should be like losing their mind. Like, oh my God, I can't believe like Fable could have been that moment. Like so many people are like want to play Fable, are hyped for Fable, have such a story history with the game. Showing us that frog eating one of those little fairies, that was a waste of time. Like now, if they would have hit us today with, what, we got one more thing, and they show Fable, but actually show gameplay where they, show somebody walking in through the town or whatever, people would have lost their shit.
Yeah, I agree. But I think they would have just showed gameplay today if they had gameplay to show. I just don't think
this is what I'm saying.
Time being ready.
Redfall shouldn't have been shown at all because there's no gameplay. They showed us a CGI game.
No, we can't say. We can't say because we got on them about, hey, just at least show us the roadmap, show us what you got making. That was the whole conversation last year. We need to know what these studios are making, and we can't come down on them for actually finally. Because we even said, show us a freaking digital trailer. I mean, show us a logo on the screen. We were talking about that last year, so we can't beat them down for at least giving us that because that's basically what they did. I'm not saying you. I've never
been a guy who said, "Show me the logo." Because I don't give a damn about showing me a logo because that don't mean nothing to me.
No, I agree with that. But we got to be for real though. We're just a small part of the community. We're a small part of it.
Just show me something. Now, I have never been that guy because to me that's a waste of fucking time.
Well, I agree. I hate CGI trailers.
A BS CGI trailer. Showing me that frog eating that fairy was a waste of my time.
Yeah, I got
Show
you.
me something substantial, so that way when I see it, I'm super excited about it.
Yeah,
Now,
I
like
agree.
you show me that frog trailer, and now I got to wait another 2 years before you show me the game.
I actually agree with you personally, but I think one of the issues is I think that issue resolves itself once all these studios are caught up and they're finally turning stuff over. I think when you're in
waste my time showing me it though. That's my whole point. Like showing
But
me
you
Fable
don't. So you don't
that
even want to
early
know. You don't
was
want to know
pointless.
you don't want to know
But-
what the map
but I
what the
think-
map even looks
I
like.
think what B's saying is that there's greater impact if they
have
just
28
stay quiet.
studios now.
I
Look,
agree with
like
that.
you remember when you know, like we know about God of War, the story of God of War, right? How it was like, you know, shot down.
Enrique, you
Imagine-
just brought up God of War. Like, remember when we first saw that?
Oh my God!
You remember when we first saw that?
Yeah, we were holy shit.
Oh my God!
Yeah, everyone went nuts. But imagine
We didn't know God of War was coming back.
Mm-mm.
We didn't know nothing. They showed us Kratos walking out of the shadows.
Yeah.
He
With that,
calls his
yep.
son, and then they go fight a big
but-
gargoyle or whatever. Oh my shit moment.
I mean, that's
That's
exactly,
all I'm
yeah.
asking for.
B's right. Yeah.
I think in the
Well, I agree
future
with
you'll
you,
be able they'll be able to get back to putting together, because what you're really talking about is like the vertical slices. Like right now, I think because of development hell, it's like, oh, do we want our game to be more delayed, or are we going to show vertical slice?
work on
or,
something separately.
But-
that's
or
able to
show
show
nothing.
But they
the
showed us
game.
Fable before development hell, before the pandemic.
Yeah. No, I know. No, so Fable's a different.
And what about like I understand what you're saying, Obian, but I also don't necessarily agree with that in the sense that they showed us this, like, they gave us like this deep dive into Forza Horizon 5.
I think that was great.
You know,
Yeah.
Love that.
I mean,
that.
so is it development
Well, they were-
hell? Or is it like, you know?
Well, I think
that's close to release. That's one of the
Yeah, I
reasons.
think
The
I
closer
think
it
they
gets
were
to
out there
release.
flexing. Basically, they were flexing.
Yeah.
Playground was flexing their muscle. They were letting you know that Forza's here to stay. And then and a lot of people were thinking of the promise what Fable could look like because that studio was making the game.
Yeah. Hey,
I think they could have shown Avowed this time.
Yeah,
if
let me get-
They probably could have. Yeah.
Let me get the super chat real quick from Nerifit with the £2 super chat. Thank you for that. It says, would this be good enough if it was a PlayStation E3 show? I think we know the answer to that question.
I think
don't think
it was
so.
a good show.
I think this show
I think it was a
stands
good
up.
show.
It was a good show.
It was a
It
good
was
show.
I just think people are. I don't know, man. I don't know. I try not to.
Well, we could be real. I mean, you have people, like I said, I'm watching people drop and say like it's like a 3 out of 10, and I'm like, okay, and then I'm seeing people saying
But
it
they're
was a 10 out of
ridiculous.
10 and it's a 9 out of 10, and I'm like, yeah, might be shooting over that one too. It was a solid showcase of roadmap titles. Like
It was a good showcase.
This is what
I
you'll be
think
playing from
if
here to here
you-
until we get down the road for a little bit more. But but to answer kind of like the thing of like B saying, because I'm in agreement with B on hold certain things for this, because go back to when they showed like Hellblade 2, right? It was a holy shit moment, but now it's kind of being walked back some because it's like, oh, they didn't even really start on it. So is that really what indicative of what we're gonna get? And I'm a big Ninja Theory fan, so I'm pulling, and I know that they'll deliver on on whatever like their vision is, but will it be as hype as that? Will it be So showing that little vertical slice of Fable again, I think this is also where people have their ear, is because they do spend so much time on social media interacting and engaging. It's like they don't say, you know what, we know people want to see this, but we're gonna tickle their ass with a feather and hold it still. Because where are people gonna go? You're not going anywhere. You can say that. And that's one thing I laugh about leading up to these things. And I used to be there and do this, but I kind of started pulling back on this on both sides, because I remember people, and I've seen it leading up to this show, people said like, this is do or die. It's do or die. Like, they got to do it now. And I'm like, last 5 years it's been do or die. They're still here. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
Conversely, it's the same thing when I see people say 6 months into the generation, oh, Sony's dead. They're too quiet. It's over. It's a wrap. I'm like, 30 fucking years of delivering consoles and games and had a stellar PS4, and 6 months in, people are like, they're done? Get that. Come on, people. Let's stop with the hyperbole.
I mean, I just think that people are trying to compare something that doesn't need to. I mean, I understand inherently that people want to compare the two. This show to
compare
me.
what to?
I'm just saying because of
You
like
talking about like compared to PlayStation?
Yeah.
But that's going to happen though, Forte, because they're
Well, no, I'm not.
competitors.
No, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, I guess, because that's going to happen. But I just think, I mean, I'm just different, man. That's all it is. When I look at this stuff, like my 10, like if I looked at that, like there was only probably like 4 or 5, like 5 or 6 games out of that 30 games that I would say for me were like 10 out of 10, knock it out the park. I'm there day one. It's like only 10 of them. The rest of them was like, okay, I'll definitely try out. It's in Game Pass, blah, blah, blah. You know, I want to see more about it. But when I look at it, it's like, it's more than just me. I don't never look at these. I never went into these events. Like, I'm a selfish gamer when it comes to the games I want to play for myself. But I guess because I work in retail, I try to understand what other people want to see in these games.
Forte,
there's games for
you peddle
there's
Game
games
Pass
for
to
everybody.
Who?
You
You talk about
Tell
it all
me
the time.
one.
He's
Tell me
doing his
when.
job.
Tell
Phil's
me when.
paying-
Tell me
Phil's
when.
paying-
Is it
Phil's
Tell me when.
paying GameSpot.
No,
Forte,
tell me when. Tell me
You have
when.
been on Forte.
No,
You've
you
been on this
can't.
show talking about that.
You gotta tell me when, bro.
I
You
just
can't
told
just
you.
make a statement. No, when?
You
Give me
have
an
to-
example.
No, you're not going to do that. No.
No, give me an
Sorry, Forte.
example because you
Forte,
can't give me no
Forte.
example.
Keep doing your job. Don't let
Nope.
don't
Somebody's
going
going to
to
go back and pull the
Nope.
receipts off Forte.
Go ahead, pull it. I want you to give me an example. You can't say that unless you got an example to come up with it.
Forte, we will revisit this on Wednesday, and our good friend Somo Backside probably has the day, date, and minute, hour remembered.
No, but like I said, overall, man, the show was fire. Show was fire, and people are going to enjoy it if they want to enjoy it. And I agree with you guys with the sentiment that they didn't have a oh my god moment. The oh my god moment would have been to definitively show some Starfield gameplay instead of just showing what they show. You know, you left it up to interpretation if it was actually in-game assets. You just said it was an in-game, engine, and you can't really depict anything from that because it was all off camera. You can't even tell if anything was in camera and stuff. So I will give people that because that was one thing that Addict was super disappointed in because he felt like he was really looking forward to that. But I just think overall there was something for everybody at that show, and they hit all the major notes they needed to hit. They just didn't hit the ones that some people wanted when it comes to like Fable, which I understand that they didn't show State of Decay, which some people were definitely upset about. But I know those things are there. Now, those games get canceled or some reason like that, then that's an L.
All right.
But for the most part, I don't think those games are going to get canceled, so they're going to come sooner or later.
Okay, so real quick, I want to wrap up the show here because this show was supposed to last for an hour, went over the hour mark, which is fine. There's been great conversation here, great dialogue as always. So I just want to throw this out to the panel real quick. If everyone wanted to give their number out of 10 for the Xbox E3 2021 conference, I'll start with our guest OBM. OBM, what are you going to give the show, man?
Yeah, I already said mine at the beginning. 8 out of 10. I'm pretty firm in that. I feel pretty good. I feel really good overall about kind of where things are at. I do agree with you about a couple things still missing and maybe it's still a little bit too much CGI but overall, yeah, I just feel really. I look at the 2021, 22, and I feel like there's a better lineup today than I thought there was yesterday for that time period. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's like, what am I going to be actually playing? By the way, the GIF, if you notice that in the Discord, that was for Forte when he was rattling off all the games. When he was like, first we're going to go to Hellblade 2, then we're going to go to State of Decay. Yeah. So anyways, that's what that's for.
Yeah, that's funny. I want to throw out to the live chat. If the live chat, if you guys want to throw in your score for the show as well, go ahead and do that in the live chat. By the way, please smash that like button if you haven't done so already. If you're new to the show, subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're alerted when we go live. I'll go to Gaming Forte. Forte, I think you're giving this a 10 out of 10. Is that?
Yeah, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I ain't changing my mind either. 10 out of 10. Listen, I'm sorry. 10 out of 10. The show was everything I wanted.
I can't wait for DPS on Thursday.
You sure? I'm glad. And when everybody in here saying Forte crazy, y'all. Because let me tell you something. Some people ain't thinking about too.
God,
let me tell you. People
Forte,
ain't thinking about
wrap it up, B.
Like, how many games did they show at this press conference? 30, right? They showed 30, right? 30 games, right? I just want to make sure my math right. 30 games. Which 3 of them were in Game Pass, right? Only three games, right? So basically for about $190, I can own every game that was shown in this press conference today. Every game for about $190. Every game. Man, that's phenomenal. And people don't, and I think people ain't thinking about that. The fact that you literally can walk out of this show and pay $190 for everything you saw at this press conference, that adds points to it by itself.
Hey, Forte. I don't want it to sound like this thing, because I know people have this issue back and forth about either paying for games or using Game Pass, and I feel like I have the luxury of doing whatever the hell I want to do, right?
Facts.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But it hit me today, and I was laughing because I finished watching the show. My wife said, "How was the show?" I was like, "Oh, it was really solid." She goes, "So we're about to be bank account about to get hit," and I stopped for a minute. I was like, "No, I don't have to pay for any of that."
Yes, none of it.
Yeah,
Not a dime. Not a dime.
Like, damn.
100.
All right. She was like, "Okay."
Brother, you ain't got to go. Listen. You ain't got to go to no store and do no pre-order. You ain't got to do nothing.
That is a great point, but it also
$190, bro.
That is
for
a great
everything
point.
you saw there.
It also comes down to whether or not you find value in those games too. You know.
So you gave it a 7, so that means you find value in at least some of the stuff that was there.
Some of the stuff, yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Then.
Like,
and Forte, you missed like the first part before you came in. I was just saying, like, look, man, I get platform loyalty or preference or whatever, right? But when does the gamer point come through? When does the gamer shine through? Like, you can say what you want, you know. And I'm watching some cats out there like on the timeline, and they're saying like, man, it don't matter what Xbox does, y'all gonna hate on it. And I'm like, that works both ways. I watch
it definitely
whatever
does.
Sony shows, Xbox dudes hate the same way. It goes both ways. But as a gamer, I can look at any of these shows and just say there's at least 1 or 2 that I'm like, I'm definitely playing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Even if you didn't like the entire show, and almost every showcase we've had over the last couple of years, I found at least 1 or 2 things out of it that I would like to play, even if I felt the show was mid. Right?
Yep.
I don't think this was a mid show. I think it was a good showcase. It was a good roadmap showcase. No, there was not a drop the mic, you know, like God of War, Gears of War, all the GOWs you can think of moment. But it was a solid roadmap. Like, there's a plenty to play. So for all it's dry out here, people, that might be a problem for you. You know,
it might be. You're right about that.
Yeah.
And I don't want you guys to think that we all family here. I respect all y'all opinions. It's just, certain. I wasn't expecting this show. Like, I went into the show pretty tempered. Kept telling people like, just go into the show with whatever you could take into it. Don't expect too much out of it. Just know that I said that on the show. Just know that Xbox is in a better place they were last generation. And I didn't expect them to have the pacing. I think Bethesda truly helped them with that, because that felt like a presentation that Bethesda would put on. So I definitely think the pacing helped it a lot. But you just can't, even if the games, all the games don't really land on you, the value by itself is the proposition that you cannot be ignored. And you would almost, if any of these games are on your radar, you'd almost be a fool not to have Game Pass. And why would you pay full price and they basically just giving them to you? If you're interested, just get Game Pass. Seriously. Because all these games are at your fingertips at that point.
Yeah. All right, let me get the super chat and then go to Eric. We have Carlos Alvarado with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Carlos. Says he's giving the show 8 out of 10. The future looks so bright for Xbox. Let's compare it to Sony's E3 tomorrow or later on this week. Yeah, okay. We know that Sony's not going to be at E3, but
I'm about to say what E3?
Yeah, but yeah, though. Thank you for that super chat, Carlos. I know you gave your score earlier, but go ahead for those that just tuned in later. What are you giving the show?
Well, let me first say, like, I'm laughing at the fact that we're all scoring this thing, and it's like, what's the scale? Did somebody put a scale up that was supposed to go by?
Yes, out of 10, man.
Because it means, honestly, like, yeah, what does my score mean to anybody? But okay, if we're gonna do the scoring thing, I am going to stick at a 7.5. I'm gonna watch it again later because, and I'll say this because I may go up. I only want to go up I ain't gonna do what you did and bring it back down.
Or you might bring it down to a 7.
It won't go lower than a 7, but I'll stay at a 7.5. Maybe it can get a bump to 8. We'll see. I don't know.
All
but again, who the hell cares?
Yeah, it's a great.
I see people saying it's a 2 out of 5 or 2 out of 10, and all right, you know what, Enrique, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars.
Oh, don't do that.
There you go.
They're gonna come after
Make of that what
Jeff
you
Grubb.
will. I'm gonna give it a bypass rent.
Oh my goodness.
How about that?
There you go. All right, we P Money, man.
I'm gonna go with 7, man.
7. All right, cool. All right. Well, look, great show, gentlemen, as always. This has been a fun day with E3, and certainly more to look forward to. I didn't catch the Square Enix conference, but I heard some not so good reactions from that, so I gotta check that out. But
you would have needed to fill up that fridge, that Xbox fridge, with a lot of hard shit to sit through that one.
That's what I'm hearing. Yes. And by the way, I'm getting that Xbox mini fridge. That was one of the more exciting announcements of the show for me. By the way, like I'm totally getting that. That is going to happen. But no, gentlemen, seriously, great show as always. Really appreciate everyone in the live chat for coming out and hanging out with us today. And we're gonna have a lot to talk about this week with E3 and a lot of gaming related news, trailers, games, and the like. But great show, great conversation as always. Want to give a big shout out to oh, wait a minute, we got one more super chat here. We got Rice Eater 79 with the $5 super chat. Says PlayStation fans here. Union Chronicle looked amazing and impressive get for Xbox, but LOL, I am buying it. I support full price for devs who make games I like. Okay, thank you for that super chat. OBM.
Yes, sir.
Let everyone know can find you, man.
Sure. If you guys want to find me, you can find me at on Twitter at OneBadMother at mother_1. I'm also part of the staff over at Xbox Era. Come over there, especially if you're, well, I guess if you're any kind of gamer, but over in the forums, or find us on some of our shows. Tomorrow we'll be doing an episode of You Had Me at Halo. We'll be live streaming some of the updates on the Halo multiplayer. And then we also are, after that, we'll be probably going into some long discussion on everything we've seen up to that point through this E3 week. Mm-hmm. But again, thanks for having me on for Gamer Christmas. It's always a good time with you guys.
Yeah, no, I actually appreciate the time as always, OBM. And we got Gaming Forte. Forte, hey, man, great seeing you, man. Glad you could make it.
Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to this Wednesday for DPS when Slow-Mo's in the house and you guys can talk about your thoughts.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, but
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, but let everyone know they can find you, kind sir.
No, man, this is great. I truly appreciate all of you guys, and I'm just happy that Xbox is finally giving us what we want as games, and I think that's what everybody in this chat truly wanted, even PlayStation fans, because guess what? If they get games, that means it's going to push PlayStation to do even better than they are, and they're already great. So I'm expecting greatness from everyone for this next generation. But Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation, DPS podcast this Thursday. I will announce that we will have Randall Thor on that day. He will be there with us that day. I will announce the other guests tomorrow. I just want to confirm to make sure that we have that person coming along for the ride. If not, I'll be reaching out to some other people, but I'll announce the other guests tomorrow afternoon at some point. But enjoy the rest of E3. This is just the beginning, and I hope you guys have a good week.
Absolutely. And the voice of reason, Mr. Eric Jackson. He always a pleasure.
A lot more these days, man. I don't know what's going on, man.
You are, man, and you're saved too, man.
I don't know about all that, but no.
Just reminds me of that movie. What's it called? When she's like, "I'm saved." You got me all here cussing.
If the word "fuck" gonna keep me out of heaven, then that might be a problem.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Anyway. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. Thank you for coming through, everybody. And yeah, enjoy the rest of E3.
Absolutely. And B Money, always a pleasure, sir, man. B, great insight as always, man. Let everyone know they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere. Same name, B Money 101. And see you guys here on Wednesday.
All right. Yeah, we'll be back this coming Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk more E3. We'll have Slow-Mo backslap in the house. Not sure who we're gonna have as a guest, or if we'll have a guest on. But anyway, come hang out with the BRAP panel. And it's going to be a great conversation, as it is every Wednesday night. So on that note, everyone, Have a great evening. Play some video games, and we'll see you on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy. We're out. Peace.